Wisconsin's Jonathan Taylor continues to put up huge numbers. Went for 221 yards last week in that win over Nebraska. The fifth 200-yard game of his career, the 15th time in 19 career outings he's gone over 100. The sophomore leading the nation in rushing after finishing third last season. And Wisconsin's Jonathan Taylor joins us now from our studio in Madison. Jonathan, how excited do you get the week before a game like this? I mean, the chance to play in a game that is arguably the biggest one in the country this week.
Oh, you get very excited, especially this kind of game, college game day. It's the kind of things you watch on TV as a kid and you dream about being there. And now you finally get the opportunity to play in one of these games, so you got to look forward to making the most of it.
It is a great matchup. You, as we mentioned, are the nation's top rusher. You're going up against the top total defense in the country. What do you see when you look at Michigan on tape?
I see those guys are playing great football right now, offensively and defensively. But on the defensive side of the ball, those guys are flying to the ball. Backers are sideline to sideline backers. They'll fit you up. So it's definitely going to take our best shot to go in there and come out with a win. And I'm definitely looking forward to this matchup.
They were outstanding, of course, defensively last year as well, and you had a pretty good game against them, going well over 100 yards. Really took off in the second half and seemed to kind of get into a flow there. What do you recall about that game that you can carry forward into this one?
Definitely, I can carry forward that it's going to be a four-quarter game. Those guys are going to play snap the whistle every single quarter. You have to bring it every single snap 100%, and it's going to come down to the end.
What would qualify as a good game running the ball for you guys against them? I'm not necessarily talking about yardage, but what does it look like? What do you need to do to feel like your run game is effective enough to win this game?
Definitely being able to go in there and get 2 to 3 yards on design runs. That's one thing Coach always preaches about. Some runs are designed to get 4, get 5. Anything else is a plus. So just being able to make sure that we execute every single run play the way it's supposed to be.
Jonathan, I want to go in the Wayback Machine a little bit. Take me back to 8th grade. So you are assigned to write an essay for your 8th grade class about where you expect to be after high school, and you wrote that you expected to be a running back for Wisconsin. So how does a kid growing up in New Jersey decide that's where they want to be after high school?
Going into that year, having that assignment under my belt, one of the things was Corey Clement. He being a South Jersey guy just like me, watching him run all over the field in my area, and then watching him do that on the national level, it was definitely something surprising to see, and it kind of inspired me to want to do the same thing. So I just made sure I had kept my nose on the grindstone and got to work.
And you certainly did. You got the opportunity to play at Wisconsin. You had to turn down Rutgers, who you had originally committed to, an in-state kid. How tough was that to tell them no after initially saying that you would go there?
It was tough. It was really tough, especially being as though you wanted to stay home, you wanted to be the kind of hometown hero, and then you kind of had to get into a mindset of you could still be a hometown hero. It's not where you're at, it's where your heart is at, and my heart is always in New Jersey, it's always in South Jersey. I grew up there, I love that place, but that's one of the biggest things that I had to do leaving high school was make that decision.
Let's focus back on this team this year. You're a couple games removed from that loss to BYU, and in the 2 games since then, you have played really well. What do you think changed for this team since that game?
I think since that game, we came together, we watched the film, correct all the mistakes that we needed to, and now it's just about being consistent. That's one of the biggest things that makes a great team, is being consistent all the time. So one of the things that we're going to try to do is keep this thing rolling every single game, every single practice, every single rep.
I know your defense is a little banged up. It hasn't quite statistically been up to the level that it had been in previous years. Does that put more pressure on you guys offensively, that you feel like, hey, we got to score?
I don't think it puts more pressure on us as an offense, just because we know that every phase of the game leans on each other. The special teams leans on us. We lean on the defense leans on us. So anything we do, we know that it's for the other side of the ball. So we got to know we got to go out there and score, put points on the board, so that the defense can go and get the ball back for us, so we can put more points on the board.
It doesn't always feel like Alex Hornibrook gets the credit he deserves, and yet here's a guy who's 24-4. as a starter at Wisconsin. Give us a sense of what makes him so good.
I think it's his poise, the way he holds himself inside of the huddle. When you go in the huddle, he gives you a sense of everything's going to be all right. He's calm, cool, collected, no matter the situation, and you know he's ready to put a drive together.
Finally, give us a little insight into Coach Chryst. I mean, he seems very low-key when you talk to him, and yet there have been a few moments on the sidelines over the last couple of years where the lip readers have seen some interesting things come out of Coach Chryst's mouth, including one this past weekend against Nebraska. How intense is he really, despite the outward demeanor?
Coach Chryst is really intense, and he's laid back most of the time, and when you see him get fired up, you know that he's really passionate about the game, and for him to get worked up, you know that his emotions are going and that he's really in tune to the game, and he's enjoying himself, and he loves coaching us, and we love having him as a coach.
Well, Jonathan, really looking forward to the game this weekend. Best of luck in Ann Arbor, and thanks so much for your time.
Thank you for having me.